Well, summer's almost officially here, and you know what that means? The strawberries already are. So one of my favorite ways to use our fresh strawberries is to make strawberry jam. I usually make 2 batches every year, plenty for our family, some to give as holiday gifts at the end of the year, and that one special jar to enter into the fair at the end of the summer. Now we're going to need at least 4 quarts of berries to make our strawberry jam. So let's head over to a local berry farm where we can pick ripe, fresh strawberries and meet the owner, Jillian, my good friend. So this lovely place is Prout's Jolly View Farm. Now Jillian and her family throw this rockin' strawberry festival every year, complete with live music, fresh strawberry shortcake, activities for the kids, and you can pick berries till the cows come home. Now the festival's not until next weekend, but Jillian's letting us fly under the radar and grab some berries now. So let's go on over and say hello. Now Jillian, what kind of strawberries are these?
These are early glows. And they're the earliest variety that's available. They're an industry standard, especially for, excuse me, you pick.
Ah, yeah.
They're easy to pick. They pop right off the plant. They come really early. They've got a nice standard color and size.
Yeah.
And they hold up well on the stand. So they're a really great strawberry to get started with for the season. And they have great flavor.
Yeah. So Jillian, what are the varieties that you grow here?
Well, besides the early glows, we also have Cavendish, we have All-Stars, we have New Ideas, we have Auroras, and we also have one of my favorite varieties, which is Sparkle and Jewel, and they're a great jelly berry.
Oh, super. So you'd recommend the Jewel for jelly and jam?
Yes, very much so.
We are so set. Jillian, beautiful berries. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I'll be seeing you soon.
Great.
All right, so we've got our 4 quarts for our jam session. Let's head back to the house and get started. Come on. So whether they're homegrown or you go to a berry patch to pick your strawberries, freshness is key. And I like to can on the same day I get my strawberries because you keep all that freshness intact. So let's go to the sink and hull and wash our strawberries. So we're giving our berries a rinse. We're going to trim the hull and we're going to check for any bruises or brown spots. Like this one. We want to remove any brown spots that could interfere with the perfection of the batch because it would spoil the batch to can this. Now we walked away with 4 quarts of strawberries, which is about the equivalent of 5½ cups of mashed strawberries. And remember, in canning, you always want to keep your measurements as precise as possible. So we'll double check this and make sure we've got 5½ cups after we mash the strawberries. Okay, so what we've done is washed and rinsed our jars and our lids. We're going to be soaking our lids in hot water to soften up the band, and also it's a good time to check for cracks and cleanliness of our jars. We want to make sure our jam doesn't spoil. So this is our boiling water canner, our processor for jams and jellies. It's an enamel pot, you fill it with water, and it's got a rack inside that will separate your jars while they process on the stove. Now I've filled my pot, it's on the stove, and it's ready to be turned on because I want that water boiling and ready to process our jam after it cooks. I've measured out our mashed strawberries, fresh lemon juice, sugar, and I have our pectin ready to go. By the way, when you want to preserve something, you don't necessarily need a cookbook, especially for jams and jellies. Your pectin box is going to have virtually every recipe you want for any kind of fruit, jam, or jelly. Okay, our berries go in first. What a beautiful color, look at that. Followed by our lemon juice. I'm just going to give that a quick stir. Next we're going to sprinkle in our pectin. I like to do this just a little at a time. I don't know if there's a rule about it, I just feel better when it's mixed evenly. All right, we're going to bring this to a boil. Won't take long. And then all of our sugar goes in at once. Okay, we want to bring this to a full rolling boil that can't be stirred down before we add our sugar. Remember what I said earlier, everything happens pretty quickly? Wait till we add the sugar. You'll see exactly what I mean. You're probably wondering why I use such a tall pot. We'll clear that up in a minute too. Now that is one hot pot, I can tell you. I can't stir the boil off, so it's ready for the sugar. We're going to add all of our sugar at once. I'm going to try to keep stirring this because, again, I like to give it an even distribution. There we go. Very hot, very hot. Now we're going to bring this back to a hard boil. It can't be stirred down. And we're going to let it go for 1 minute like that. And once this comes to a big rolling boil, we'll start our timer for 1 minute. Now see the foam on the top of our pot that's starting to build? That's a natural byproduct. Strawberries and pectin and sugar and air. Here comes our rolling boil. I'm going to start our timer for 1 minute. Now this foam is going to build. You might even have a little splatter here and there. That's the reason for the tall pot. At this point you should be stirring constantly, if your hand can stand it. Okay, there's our minute. I'm going to take it off the heat now. Okay, let's skim some of that foam off. And just go along the top. It's totally edible. And if you're fine with the foam like we are, you don't have to do it. So we're filling our jars now. You can see this funnel comes in really handy. You must have a funnel if you're canning. Okay, so we're just going to transfer some of our jam to equal out the levels and to make sure we have plenty of clearance. That 1/4 inch is pretty important. Okay, next we're going to wipe down the rim of each jar quickly because they're hot. We want to make sure there are no berry pieces or jelly on the top of the lid that would interfere with the seal, and that's critical. So they all look pretty clean. We're going to use our little lid lifter here because remember our lids have been soaking in hot water. You put the lid on and all you do is finger tighten the band. That's it. And that jar is ready to go in the boiling bath canner. Let me get the rest of these done and we'll lift them over. That's 8. Okay, it's all loaded up. Into the boiling water it goes. Put the top on. Bring your pot back to boil. Start your timer for 10 minutes and let it process. Always check your directions because your processing time is going to vary with your altitude. Bring our jars up. I just heard one seal. Did you hear that? The jar lifter is imperative that you have it because you're handling very hot jars that you cannot touch with your fingers. Did you hear that? We've had 2 seal already. That's the sound of success. Now I purposely did not process this jar because I want to show you what happens when a lid does not seal. Hear that? That's a sign to test to see if your lid has sealed properly. This one has not. It hasn't been processed. This one we'll eat first. We're going to store it in the refrigerator. Now that was simple. Keep your jam in a cool, dry place. It'll last a year if you hide it well. We'll see you next time.